Hello and welcome to another episode of the Solo Ender podcast. We've been coming off a very stressful win against Parma of late, and we've got Atalanta to look forward to in a couple of days. But quickly to dive into a review of the Parma match, we are joined here with Manish as usual and a special guest. Of course, you know him famously as Uncle Sharma on his YouTube channel and various social media platforms. So how are you doing, Rahul?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Feeling good. First in the league, 6 points clear. Feels good to be Inter fan. It's been a while since we've been, having to get into enjoy being an Inter fan like this.
Yeah. So first things first, just quickly to dive straight into the match because it was not an easy match. Like many people, like if we did a preview before the match as usual, and I personally thought it was always going to be a tough game. I predicted a 1-0 win, but of course it was more stressful. Manish, on the other hand, said a 3-1 win, and Gotham said 7-0. I don't know how, but so yeah, but yeah, coming straight into it, I saw your preview as well for it. I know you were a bit cautious about it. You went for a 2-0 one, but how did you think? What are your general thoughts on this match? Because like I felt that we had way more trouble than we should have to an extent. Like they had so many absentees. The usual troublemaker Gervinho wasn't there, and yeah, and then Caramo turns into like prime Mbappe out of nowhere, and yeah. So what's your general take on this match?
Yeah, no, I don't know. It just seems, you just have one of those. Sometimes you have those teams that just seem to have your number. It just seems to be like that with Parma. And I don't know if it has to do with Conte being like very close friends with Davers. I've heard they're very close friends off the pitch. I don't know if it's like that type of rivalry where Daversa just, knows what Conte is gonna do inside out or something like that. But yeah, it was just so sluggish yesterday. It was so, it was such a bad football match to watch, especially that first half. Like both sides, just simple technical mistakes. It was very disappointing to see. After they've got us used to like you know ruthless professional performances recently over the last couple of months. You just think like, okay, yeah, this is the new Inter. Then this is like it was a little bit like the Spalletti Inter. Just kind of muddling through.
Yeah. So like you pointed out, like this was one of the like weirdest those performance. Like all these games before that have been a bit more ruthless than we expected to be, like against Lazio, Milan. But this
Mhm.
Parma match, having the history between in this fixture since they returned to the Serie A, we've lost at home or like basically never won at home since they returned to the Serie A, and it's always been a tight game away from that. So like before going into the match, did you ever think that it was actually going to be way tougher than it was like it was going to be even after they had all the absentees? Because you expect, because at times like you expect these games, you don't want to concede because then you have oppositions like Atalanta coming up, how free scoring a team they are, just two
Yeah.
goals shy of us. So what did you think? Like were you like as nervous, or you thought this was going to be like a 4-0, 5-0? Or yeah.
Yeah, well, just yeah, I was because it's a midweek game.
Hmm.
If we had the 7 days to prepare for it, then I would have like no doubts that we would be raring to go. But I think yeah, it seems to make a difference with our team. Having less rest. That you can just see some of the players were looking a little bit
Hmm.
sloppy, a little bit sluggish, like Ericsson and a few
Hmm.
Barella. Barella definitely needs a rest now, man. Poor guy.
Yeah.
Bichara, the guy is like out there every single week. Just Conte just never gives him some rest.
Yeah.
So no, it was worrying. But as you said, like Parma, they changed their lineup. But I think the commentator said they haven't kept the same lineup for the whole season. Every single match day, they've made some sort of change. Like
Oh.
they've been so bad this year. But that's those are the type of games where we've seen Inter in the past fall, and I think this is the difference between this Inter team and previous Inter teams.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. And Manish, coming to you quickly, to Rahul's point, everyone yesterday to an extent looked sluggish, and I agree with that because Rahul pointed out there was Barella who was sluggish, he looked jaded. Bastoni especially, he was tired, man. Like you could see it, heavy foot. And also, do you think it was just and like do you think it was one of those off days for us, or it was just mainly down to fatigue, or it's again down to the fact, as Rahul said, we are just too good when we have 7 days to prepare. Like that's how what do you say, concise it is. Like we need to have 7 days to prepare. What do you think it was yesterday, and what's your general take on the match?
Yes, first of all, I'd like to welcome Uncle Sharma to the show. Welcome, Rahul.
Yeah.
So yeah, the match, like you mentioned, I think the whole team they seemed lackadaisical. Like everyone seemed lost, and the problem is we are ahead. We were like 4 points ahead. I think at the beginning of the match, and that gets the players in their head. Everyone thinks yes, this Scudetto might be won, and stuff. Because the players are still young. They haven't won anything yet. So maybe that you could see the rustiness in the play in the midfield. I think everyone seemed lethargic. Everybody from Brozovic to Eriksson, they were just playing very casual and they're losing simple passes and they're not playing. The team was not focused at all in the first half, and that I think freaked us out. I think everyone seeing like what Inter is this, and also, I think interplay is good when the other team attacks. So I don't know, maybe Conti's strategy to pass the ball back to them and we'll defend. It seemed that way because Parma had more possession at one point, more possession
Mhm.
than us. And considering their team second from bottom, it's least expected, and we are like 4 points ahead and top of the table. So I don't know. It seemed a bit confused state, like the players didn't know what exactly to do, and they kept passing the ball back to Parma, I believe, or maybe just misplaced passes. So yes, but definitely second half, I think they got a good beating by Conti in the locker room. Conti does what he does best. He gets in everyone's skin, and you could see that refresh change in the second half. I think Skriniar had one of very bad matches. He seemed completely off pace, and a couple of players too. But just to point out, I think Skriniar, because I think we kept praising him a lot over the last few weeks, and this match was one of his terrible performance. What I personally felt. So yeah, Parmesan, anyways, good 3 points. And if you have to be a champion, at the end of the day, you cannot play well every time. You cannot play the Barca style football every now and then. There are matches where we struggle to get 3 points, and end of the day, that's what champions are. Yeah, if they were able to churn out results in the last minute. So I'm happy with the 3 points. Not a very great performance, but yes, nonetheless, no complaints.
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree with you on that. That you can't always have like the top performance you expect from the team. And some matches, as Conte said yesterday, and even Alexis said, if I'm not wrong, that you need to grind certain wins out. You can't always play, champagne football as people expect you to. But I think quickly to cap this match off, I'll come down to individual performances, and I think we can each go on to explain what we thought about certain players by giving them a certain rating out of 10. So of course, we'll begin with Handanovic. I mean, I'll start with Handanovic because he had that early save to make from a Kurtic header, if I'm not wrong. And I think apart from that, he didn't have that much to do to an extent at least. He had to, of course, command his area during corners and all. But I think overall, Handanovic, and he couldn't have saved that goal. Hernani's goal was a perfect volley, I felt. It was just a sweetly timed shot and you can't do much about it. So if I had to give Handanovic a rating, it would be 7. But coming to you, Rahul, quickly, what would you give Skriniar? Because as Manish pointed out, he did seem a bit off pace yesterday. Like he was making certain tackles, and I thought he would find himself in the book. But yeah, what do you think his performance was like, and how much would you rate him on 10?
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with Manish. He looked like most of other players, especially towards the end of the second half. He was given the ball a couple of times. He gave away some dangerous balls away. Probably I would give Skriniar 6 out of 10. I think.
Yeah. I mean, you can't disagree with that. And coming to you, Manish, what would you rate De Vrij? Because De Vrij actually, in my opinion, had a fantastic match. If I had to pick like top 3 players, he would be in that. Because if I was checking a few stats, he had one shot block, he had 5 interceptions, and he didn't get dribble past at all, and he even swept the ball up like 5 times. So, considering all of that, how much would you rate De Vrij?
Yeah, De Vrij seemed the more stronger option from the back three. Also, Bastoni, I think, had a good game. But my rating for De Vrij would be 6.5 to 7. I think 6.5 is it's good enough for it.
Yeah. Coming to Bastoni, I felt that as I think somewhat along Skriniar's lines, it felt very similar. Both, I think Bastoni was just too exhausted because I remember Rahul saying in one of his videos that Bastoni, you can't really afford to rest him because we all know who his backup is. It's a very scary thought, so we can't really bench him, and it's yeah, I can't blame him too much. He was a bit jaded, but yeah, I would give him a 6.5 as well. And then coming to you, Rahul. the one of the best players in my opinion yesterday, Hakimi. What would you rate him? Because that moment also in the end, that was amazing to watch. Conte literally almost ripping his head off and saying "Ti amo." But yeah, I mean, I think Hakimi was really, Hakimi was also sort of a bright spark. What are your thoughts on his performance and his rating?
Yeah, I felt like it was a bit up and down from Hakimi.
Yeah.
In the first half, he was like the only bright spot in the team. He was the only one who got past players and created a couple of chances. I think I remember. And then in the second half, he had a bit of a dip attacking wise, but then he was pretty solid defensively. So overall, I'd give him a 6.5 as well, I think.
Yeah. Coming to you, Manish, we look at Barella because Barella also, to Rahul's point, was a bit jaded. And overall, I felt that midfield is where we struggled in general, and that's where Parma capitalized, playing a 4-3-1-2. So, what do you think about Barella? Yeah.
I'm one of Barella's admirers, so I don't want to give him a negative rating, but I think last match he seemed badly in need of rest. I would give him a 5.5 rating for his performance in the Parma's match.
Yeah, I mean, I can't disagree with that, and I can't blame Barella. I mean, he puts in like almost a man of the match performance every week, every week. So you can't really say much about that. But coming to Brozovic, I felt he was pretty decent. Like he had that one through ball he played to Lukaku on his weaker foot, and Lukaku could have probably scored it. Apart from that, I think Brozovic was okay, like nothing special. But we all know how important Brozovic is to the system. So I think I would give Brozovic a 6.5 as well. But coming to you, Rahul, Christian Eriksen. Of course, he's been doing so well of late, and it's good to see his revival. It's really, heartwarming to see this. But yesterday, I think the midfield as I said, we lost the midfield battle, and you could see Eriksen was a bit lost as well. And there was a moment where he could have scored, but the ball went behind him. One of Hakimi's driven crosses. So, what do you think? What do you make of Eriksen's performance?
Yeah, it was similar to the other midfielders, as you said. They just felt off yesterday. We couldn't control the midfield. It felt a little bit like Eriksen from like last season. A little bit. He seemed a little bit soft in tackles. Seemed like he was dispossessed a few times too easily. But at the end of the day, he was involved. Like in the Sanchez goal, he was the one who gave Lukaku that ball.
Yeah.
Similarly to Brozovic, he got involved in the first goal as well. I think he won the ball back. So, they didn't play that well, but in the end, they got involved in the goal. So, I give Eriksen a 6 out of 10. What did you give Brozovic, by the way? Sorry.
I gave him a 6.5.
Okay.
Yeah, because to your point, I think you just no one could like none of the midfielders could stand out, but I think they just did enough to make it work. So yeah, I mean, I think that's fair for Eriksen. And coming to you, Manish, I think it's next is Ivan Perisic because he did seem to struggle a bit going forward. But I mean, again, off late we have seen how well he has done. So what would you rate him based on yesterday?
I don't want to be the harsh one here. I think I'm giving a couple of low ratings. So again, Perisic had a very, I wouldn't say great match. He lost the Parma play on the goal. I would give a rating of 5.5, but nonetheless, he is the most reliable option we have in the left flank. I would take him over Ashley Young any day. So it's again a harsh 5.5 rating for me, from my side.
The last two ones, the main strikers, I'll leave to you, Rahul, because we do ratings week in, week out, so we can always give our views. But yeah, tell me your thoughts on Alexis Sanchez and Romelu Lukaku. But because finally it's good to see Alexis score because he's had such a hard time in front of goal. He's missed the simplest of chances. And yesterday also the first goal, I thought, what the hell, man? Did it go in or not? I thought, how unlucky can this guy be? Can he not score a goal? But luckily it went in. But yeah, what are your thoughts on Alexis? In the first half, he seemed a bit off to me. He couldn't create that space for Lukaku like Lautaro does. But yeah, I mean, eventually he got into it, and Romelu Lukaku is Romelu Lukaku. You can't say much. So yeah, what are your thoughts on it and your ratings for them?
Yeah, Sanchez, man. Yeah, I really like him. He always works hard for the team, and he always creates something. But he was unlucky in the first half because in the first half we were focused all of our efforts on the right side. It felt like it was the Hakimi, Barella, Skriniar triangle. Everything was going down the right side, and then in the second half it seemed like we moved towards the left a little bit more, and Sanchez got more involved. And yeah, we've been asking him to provide more end products. So 2 goals. I think he's got 3 goals in 2 matches now. So he's stepping up. Conte called him out a few weeks back for his lack of goals as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's good to see him. And Conte said he's a guy that wants to play every match. He demands a lot from himself. So you can't deny, this guy's been at the top of, European football for a long time. So you can't really deny a guy like Sanchez. So it's so good to
True.
have an option like him. And as Conte said, now finally he's in a good physical condition, because he said like this is the best, even though we've not seen him play that much. He said in training, this is the best Sanchez he's seen. So yeah, impressed with Sanchez. I gave him a man of the match, so he has to get at least a 7 out of 10 for me. And Lukaku, yeah, he had a okay first half as like everyone else. A few missed touches, and he got that defender on him. What was his name?
Lautaro Valenti, yeah.
Yeah. He did a pretty good job in the first half,
Yeah,
marking. And then
surprisingly so, yeah. Surprisingly so, it was a Parma defender. Yeah.
No, he looked pretty interesting. And then by the second half, when Parma started to attack, the space started to open up. You can't do anything once Lukaku gets that open space. You just have to, do the cross, pray to God that he doesn't make the right decision. I thought he wasted too long to give that ball to Sanchez, but it was perfectly fine. And now he's also the top assister in the Serie A, I believe, is it?
Yeah, so just to add to that, like for Sanchez, he was the second Chilean after Zamorano to get a brace in Serie A, and for Romelu Lukaku, it's like his 8th assist, as you said, in this season, which is his personal best as well. And of course, his tally overall in terms of goal scoring and assist contribution has been phenomenal. So yeah, I mean that was the starting 11. Just to quickly cap of the subs, Manish, Vidal. I personally didn't understand why he subbed in Vidal for Ericsson of all people. I mean, considering Barella, Brozovic are on 4 yellow cards, I would rather sub off one of them. And to Rahul's point, given how exhausted Barella was, I think Ericsson could have played a game, like would have played a better game, because Vidal just looked absent. Like there was nothing going on until the last few minutes where he saw himself finding the ball. But like the cohesion, I just couldn't see it. And I understand he's coming off an injury and he needs to get up to speed. But yeah, what would you just, if not a rating, what would you what are your thoughts on his performance?
Yeah, I thought Ericsson started off very badly the match, but he slowly picked up. I think second half he was getting back to his usual play, which was actually good. And for a reason, I thought Brozovic and Barella didn't play that great. So I was thinking Conte removed them off for Vidal, but surprisingly took off Ericsson. But I understand the reason. He wanted to defend the scoreline. We were like 2-0 up, and we need some runners, some chasers. We need to close down opposition. And Ericsson, although seems like a lazy player, but actually covers a lot of ground. I think the stats say that. So getting Arthur Vidal for last maybe 15, 20 odd minutes was just to close down opposition, don't give them spaces. But yes, he didn't do any impact. And I think as soon as Vidal came, they scored the goal. That was really funny, I think, all Inter fans' point of view, because Ericsson did actually a decent job doing the defensive duties well. So I wouldn't give Vidal, he didn't do anything fancy. He didn't do something out of the blue. I would give a rating of 6. Vidal, just a standard rating, just to cap it up.
Yeah. And I don't think we can really rate the other substitutes. I mean, they didn't have much to do. But Rahul, I just have an interesting, just thinking of this, like yesterday, he just used all his 3 slots for 1 substitute each. I thought he'll make, those normal 5 substitutions. He didn't make 5 substitutions at all. Do you think, I mean, just what's your thinking behind it? Maybe was it because, Parma were really taking it to us, so he wanted his best players to stay in there, like, because we know Gagliardini likes to give away a lot of fouls, and maybe, and Pele coming on in the 85th minute, he can always, you never know, he'll score out of nowhere. So do you think that was the thinking, or what was it?
Yeah, I'm guessing. Yeah, he's just trying not to risk anything. Yeah, I was expecting Gagliardini to come into this, because I thought, he always brings him on, and when they ask him in the post match, he always references, Gagliardini's height or his heading ability for a reason to bring him on. So yeah, I was surprised he didn't bring him on, and he's obviously one of his favorite players for some reason. But no, I guess I'm guessing it's got to do with just trying to make sure the win was secured, I think.
Yeah, and just to quickly cap it off, Manish, if you had to rate Conte for yesterday's game management, how much would you rate him?
Conte, I'm glad the second half he shook off all the players. I think during the Mourinho era, you could see that whenever Inter had a bad first half, Inter would come back firing the second half, start off well. So I'm guessing the locker room talk did the difference, because from the first half, I think we had Just one Skriniar shot pretty much stopped in the goal line. Other than that, didn't have any real threat. Uh, so I'm happy he motivates player well good enough. But I would give him again a standard 6 rating for this match. End of the day, 3 points is all it matters. Uh,
Yeah.
and I was happy he gave Alexis Sanchez. That was one of the main thing. He gave his chance because
Yeah.
he knows when to unleash the players. And I think the right moment he unleashed Sanchez for this match, and he got us 3 points.
Yeah, and he did say it in yesterday's press conference that I know he actually said this, that he knows when to use certain players, like when they're ready to actually start on a consistent basis is what he meant. And Rahul, just to cap off yesterday's match, I want you to rate the overall team performance, because here I want you to consider the players and the coach, because I've seen your previews, and there's a lot going on at the club, off the pitch, on the pitch. And these are matches, like Skriniar said yesterday in his post-match conference, last season's Inter or the season before that, Inter would have definitely dropped points here, playing like that. So considering all that, considering how the job this man has been doing, and I know you've been on the Conte train always, and like me, like I've never jumped off it. Like people have turned on him so easily, like Conte out. It was even trending at one point on Twitter, like it was the most trending hashtag. So
Yeah.
considering all that, considering you're joining us after a long time, overall this performance, how much would you rate it? Because in my opinion, it was a really important win. Like Conte said, like Genoa and Parma matches, they should not be taken lightly. So how much would you rate the overall team performance?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, the thing that matters the most is the result, isn't it? And yeah, as Skriniar said, I agree with him. I think this is a match where I see previous Inters, conceding in the last few minutes, the 2-2, the equalizer. Definitely, I can imagine Pelle just, getting a header, nicking a header or something. So what could I rate the performance and the coach? Yeah, I wasn't too impressed with the subs and everything, but I'll give it still a 7 out of 10, just to make sure to secure the win. And we still, even when we play ugly, we still manage to create chances. That's the crazy thing with this Inter.
Yeah,
It's when you look back, the actual chances, clear cut chances we had. We had like one or two in the first half, and then we had more even after we scored the 2 goals. There was more chances. So yeah, this team just always is like a chance creation machine. So I'd give it a 7 out of 10.
yeah. Anish, I guess you had a question for Rahul, so you can go ahead.
Yes. So Rahul, I think you heard the press conference, the after-match conference, which Conte spoke about. Conte seemed to be in good mood, and he was talking about surprisingly about the bench strength and how happy he was to have these players ready and motivated, ready to go. Uh, right now, we're winning. Everything seems good. Everyone's happy, all merry. Now the question is, God forbid, if Inter drop points or they lose, do you think Conte is going to throw somebody under the bus and talk about the financial circus, what's happening at Inter, and blame management and stuff, or you think he's going to be a new refreshed Conte this season?
Oh no, he's gonna throw someone straight away. The first loss, I'm telling you, this guy can't wait to talk about the financial situation and saying that no one didn't buy him anyone this summer. He wanted Kante, he wanted this guy, he wanted that guy, and they said no. He's gonna bring it up, but let's now. Yeah, everything's happy, everything's fine now. His new Conte, Instagram post. He looks like a happy chappy on Instagram.
Yeah.
He's like trying to
Yeah,
rebrand himself.
yeah. Sorry, we lost you there, Rahul, for a second, I think.
Oh,
No,
sorry.
that's
Yeah,
fine. All right. So you think Conte is
He's
going to
like
throw
trying to
everybody under
rebrand
the bus
himself.
straight away? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
All right.
I mean,
Right.
yeah, I guess Conte is like that. But I guess I would just like to add to Manish's question is that he did bring up earlier this season that he is trying to learn to enjoy the process after he was told to do so by the management. But I guess that is sort of evident, because I think with all the circus going around, in your words, Manish, I think he would have lost his cool like even more by the time January began. I think he would have thrown way more tantrums, like, and we had seen it last season. But I mean, to Rahul's point, I guess we just need to keep calm, because you never know with Conte what's coming. Like I didn't see that tantrum coming after the Atalanta win last season on the last day, so you never know. But but yeah, I guess that was the Parma review, Rahul. I think we'll briefly touch upon certain transfer rumors, because there haven't been many. Like, of course, we don't have money anyways but to spend. So, but yeah, I mean, off late I've been hearing that, yeah, not really credible sources, but Wijnaldum has been linked with the club surprisingly, because of course he's going to be a free agent, and that's what Beppe Marotta does. He's a free agent specialist. So, I mean, what's your take on this? Would you take Wijnaldum, considering, of course, I'm pretty sure you watched Liverpool, considering Wijnaldum's age, how he fits under Klopp and everything, would you actually take him? Because I personally don't see someone like Vecino staying at the club after this season. Like, I know, but then Wijnaldum, would that sort of a player actually accept so much of a bench role? But again, with that being said, we've always yearned for a quality, we yearned for quality depth, right? We can't have Gagliardini coming off in key matches. So what's your take on Wijnaldum? And the second one is just briefly that, Juan Musso, because we need to address the goalkeeping situation quickly, I guess, even though Handanovic is doing well. But off late, he's being linked with Roma, and it seems like they could just snatch him away because they have Paul Lopez, who's terrible. Like, he just can't seem to save anything. So, what do you think? Like, do you think if Musso is not achievable, should we go for someone like a Cranny or anyone else in your mind? So, just these two questions, yeah.
Yeah, Gini Wijnaldum, yeah, like profile-wise, he's perfect. Conte type of player, like he's a workhorse in midfield. That's what he's been doing for Liverpool for so many years now. They just clean up the ball and give it to the fullbacks in Liverpool system, and Wijnaldum's so good at that, and he can add goals and assists as well. Like for Holland, he's given a little bit more freedom. He's a very physical, very athletic player, so he'd be perfect for a Conte system in that left centre mid role. But then I'm not really seeing it happening, because I'm sure if he's leaving Liverpool on a free transfer, his wages will be pretty hefty, and we're already struggling with the Eriksen's wages, and we got other big wages on the books. So I'm not really seeing where this rumors, I mean, I could see it a few months ago when it seemed like everything was fine, but now with our situation, I don't really see this as a realistic opportunity. But as you said, Vecino is definitely someone has to, Sensi or Vecino, one of those two definitely have to leave. Probably now it might be even more Sensi than Vecino now, because I think Conte has said that he likes what Vecino offers. He's a little bit different from all of our midfielders. He's one of the few ones that can offer that box to box kind of late runs into the box, and we don't really have that in the team apart from Vidal. Gagliardini's kind of got that, but Vecino's probably the best at doing that. So he's a little bit unique in the team. And Sensi, I don't think he's just, physically, he can't keep up with Conte's training methods. Clearly there's something there. Maybe he's mental now more than physical. It seems like, he's got a very low pain tolerance or something. I don't know what I don't want to speak on it because I don't know what's going on, but it's sad because everyone, I'm sure you guys as well, everyone's a big fan of Sensi, such a nice technical player, but such a shame. So definitely one of Vecino and Sensi is going to leave in my mind. So ideally, Wijnaldum's perfect, but financially speaking, I'm not really sure. And the second question was Musso. Honestly, like I've tried, because with keepers is one position that I haven't really like given my opinion, because I feel like with keepers you have to watch them on like a regular basis, and with Musso I don't really tune into many Udinese matches, and usually I'm focusing on De Paul if I'm watching a Udinese match. But with the few times I've seen him, he looks their part, like, you know what I mean? Like he looks physically height wise, he's got like a nice thick neck, like he looks strong, he looks commanding. But then when I watch him, I'm not really that impressed with him. So my preference has always been, as a short-term option, has always been Cranio, because I feel like those links that we have with the Cagliari, like we've given them 2 players now for free. So surely we've got some cookie brownie points with them now.
Definitely.
And I've always thought he's the best Italian keeper after Donnarumma, but he's been unlucky to be on a bad Cagliari team over the years. Like he's faced, like I think even last year, I think he had the most saves. I think this year him and Silvestri have like the most saves in the league. So I like him as a low cost, short-term option. But as a lot of people have pointed out, he's quite short for a keeper. He's like 185 centimeters, which is not very tall for a goalkeeper. So it's a problem when you're trying to dominate the box. But I still prefer him to Musso, to be honest, personally. I don't know what you guys think.
So Manish had a question about Di Marco. So
Yes.
yeah.
So the question is, you know how Conte relies on the wing backs, and we play heavily with strong wing backs. Now, Ashley Young, ever since the Juventus match, he seems out of favor. Uh,
Mhm.
what I need to know is now we have Di Marco, who was on sent on loan to Verona, and apparently he's playing very good football there. He's taking all the set pieces, and he's contributing also well with goals and assists. So, and I believe Inter has a gentleman agreement with Verona that we will not sign him back. We You can sign him for 10 million and stuff. Do you think that's going to be a big miss considering you're not able to sign any quality wing backs? What's your take on the Di Marco situation?
Yeah, I would love to have him back because I feel like he's developed a lot. I think he definitely, some people are saying we shouldn't have sent him out on loan, but I feel like he needed
Mm,
this
yeah.
experience. Juric is a good coach and a similar system, so it's good experience from him to get regular playing time. Um, but I've seen him like last few matches. He's been out of the team as well, so he's not the finished product still. I think
Mm,
defensively he's still got a lot of improvements to make because I've seen Juric has taken him out of the team recently. But going forward, yeah, like he's got a great left foot. We've seen some of the goals he scored. I don't think we've got anyone in our team with a left foot like that apart from Kolarov. But he's let's not speak about Kolarov. But yeah, if we have, I've seen conflicting reports on the gentleman's agreement. It seems to be some sources say we don't have a written agreement. Some say it's more like a verbal agreement with them. So yeah, I mean, if it's possible, 10 million is a pretty low cost, for a
yeah.
Primavera player. So he would be useful for the Champions League list as well. I would definitely bring him back.
Brilliant, brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree with you on that, Raul, because I personally felt that, like, he needed that loan. Like, as you said, many people said, we should have used him, but he wasn't ready. Like, how Juric plays, he can bring the best out of, certain players, and he's doing a tremendous job at Hellas Verona. And, like, Di Marco has come a long way, but to your point, I do see certain errors with him defensively. And I remember watching Hellas Verona Napoli earlier
Yeah,
this
yeah.
season. He was the one who actually made the error, but then he made up for it. Like, he needs to improve defensively. But with that being said, just to cap off the Mercato bit, now that the fact that Perisic is doing so well, I know you back Perisic and it's worked out. And yeah, I mean, it's worked out very well, and I'm happy for Perisic. Yeah, but now the fact that Perisic is doing well, Ashley Young is pretty much going to leave at the end of the season. So will Kolarov. I don't think we'll extend them. Like, it's pretty much certain. But we, like, don't know what exactly is going to happen with, like, a Vidal. Maybe he stays for another season. We don't know. But considering all that, considering the fact that Perisic stays, and certain Ericsson has stepped his game up, he's adapting. So we might not even buy some, like, try hard for someone like a DePaul. So what do you think? What is the area that needs to be addressed the most now? Like, because, like, Perisic and Ericsson have just stepped up out of nowhere, and we didn't see this coming. Like, like, I remember, like, all Interists used to pity Ericsson, and you be like, please leave the club for your own good in January. But this guy is happy now. He's just having a good time. So yeah, what do you think? What do you think are the areas that actually need to be reinforced now? And yeah,
I mean, I think the one I always feel like has always been the vice Lukaku, or
yeah,
like a vice Lautaro, someone there to, like, even Conte said yesterday before, Sanchez. He's still quite an injury-prone player. Sanchez, you can't rely on him to be fit all the time. So
mm,
we definitely need someone that's an option, with Lukaku as well. You can't force him to play every single game because we've seen he's a guy who needs, like, a bit of a rest. He's quite a, such a big guy physically. He needs some time to, recuperate, and you can't play him every single minute. So we need someone of a similar profile, I believe, like we were linked with the Giroud, those the kind of a big target man type player who can do a similar job to Lukaku, like bring people into play, the hold up play, link up
mm,
with Lautaro. So that's definitely should be a priority for me. And then the left wing back situation, you said Perisic has stepped up, but I don't feel like he's the long term answer to our left wing back option. I feel like there's
mm,
still, if there is, if the possibility is there to spend some money, I feel like there should be, targeted players. Obviously, everyone knows Gosens is like, the dream signing of Inter
yeah,
fans if you had the money. But there's other, left wing backs out there, like Filip Kostic or
Kostic, I saw your tweet, and he's definitely an interesting one. I've been following him, and I feel, just to, sorry to interrupt you, just before you
no.
get back on track. Gozens is someone like, now everybody wants. There's been links with Manchester City right now, with Juventus, and those are the clubs that can spend. Like, we can't at the moment. And of course, Kostic is not going to come cheap. But I think, to your point, when I saw your tweet earlier today, it would make sense to go for someone like Kostic when everybody is, attracted to Gozens, so that you have your time to get the deal done and whatnot. But sorry, you were continuing.
Yeah, no, like Kostic seems like he's gonna be under the radar now. Like a couple of years back or last season, he was also wanted by everyone because he had like crazy stats the last season. He had like 12 goals and 18 assists or something like that. This season he's under the radar. He's done 2 goals, 11 assists. So he's been very, and he's similar to Perisic. Kind of used to be a winger, out and out winger who's like a wing back now. So I feel like he would be perfect profile for Conte. He's like a hard working wing back with good technical ability.
Yeah.
And then
So I
obviously
guess that was about the Mercato, and let's see how it develops going on. Like, will we
yeah,
actually have the money to spend? Who will be our owners? I mean, will the minority takeover actually happen by the Saudi group and whatnot? But
yeah,
now we have an important game coming up, of course, on Monday, which is the big one against Atalanta, and we all know how dangerous they are as a team. Like, you can never count them out. Like, they didn't start their season that well, and but of course they have this tendency to bounce back out of nowhere. And of course they lost Papu Gomez. We will touch upon it, but just to begin with, Rahul, of course, I mean, Atalanta right now sit fourth in the table, and they're just 2 goals shy of us. Yeah, I mean, I remember watching your review as well, and they are, I mean, that, I mean, of course we've all watched them over the season, and we know how good they are while going forward, and the options they have. Muriel is so good. But just coming to it quickly, I wanted to ask, like, I wanted to look at certain players individually in terms of how they can, measure up against our defense or attack. So the first one that comes to my mind is Luis Muriel, because this guy is always known to be an impact sub. Like, he comes off the bench, he scores long ranges, he offers pace, he just does everything. And I was just reading an interesting stat about him, that he's only played 880 minutes this league. He's only started 10 matches, but he already has, like, what, I think 15 goals. Yeah, 15 goals and like some 5 assists or something, 4 or 5 assists, and that's a crazy amount, because he just started 10 games. And I mean, we've all known him to be an explosive sub, but this is just crazy. And the fact that, it's not easy to adapt as a starter all of a sudden when one of your important players like Papu Gomez leaves, and to fill a void with, alongside Duan Zapata. He's actually outdone Duan Zapata this season. So how do you think our defense needs to tackle this, Skriniar, Bastoni, De Vrij, because this guy just bursts out of nowhere. He just creates something out of nothing, his
yeah.
pace, his passing, he's just one of those rugged strikers who will just take it to you. He's not afraid. So how do you think our backline needs to tackle this?
Yeah, no, I love watching Muriel play. A lot of people, think is like, blasphemy, but he really is close. Like when you watch him, he seems like R9. The way he plays is
Yeah.
very similar. But yeah, the best way is the way how Inter played in our first match against Atalanta this in the start of the season. Or the first half of the season, you just need to make sure you don't leave him 1v1 against our defenders. Don't expose the defense, because this guy, yeah, as you said, he will take people on. Like he'll try to nutmeg you. He'll try to embarrass people. This guy doesn't have no morals. So yeah, you just need to make sure not to leave him 1v1 exposed, and keep someone near the defense. Brozovic to stay disciplined, or Hakimi to stay a little bit more disciplined. Yeah, just more as a team effort. If you let these guys, even Ilicic, he's not the quickest player, but if you leave him 1v1, he will embarrass you as well. Zapata, similar to Lukaku as well, he can do similar things to Lukaku. If he's got space in behind, he will run past defenders for a laugh.
Yeah, so I mean that's pretty much accurate. I mean, I would love to have him like on our team, but I guess that's just not possible. But yeah, I mean, coming to another player, Manish has someone, of
Yes,
course,
like
the
I think
main
we
man.
already spoke
Yeah,
about the matchup between Gusens.
yeah,
Gusens is definitely form of his life. He scored 9 goals this season. I think that's his last year's tally. He scored it now. with still 13 matches yet to go. Also, I think he's the player who scored in 3 consecutive matches. So Gosens is
Yeah.
actually in form of his life. So now it's going to be an
And
interesting matchup.
just before you ask your question further, he has the same number of goals as Duan Zapata this season. So that says a lot. So yeah, sorry, Manish.
Right. So yeah, we know Gasperini. He likes to use his wing backs very well. Pretty much, he used right side as well as left side. Gosens right now 9 goals. That says a lot. So Gosens versus Hakimi. The matchup is going to be another one. So Rahul, what's your take on that? Who's going to win the battle? Gosens versus Hakimi.
Yeah, no, we've had interesting matchups this year on the wing back, with the Teo.
Yeah.
This goes because I think last time we played them, he was injured. I think they played like a Primavera player, so it will be interesting to see. But with Gosens, you can definitely, with this Atalanta team defensively, they're quite susceptible. So I think we can definitely go at them. And Gosens does most of his damage. He's not very good from what I've seen. He doesn't seem to be that good 1v1 or if he's trying to cross in. He's really good at getting into the box. So it would be more of our centre backs having to make sure he's kept quiet. But I think Hakimi can take that battle 1v1. I think he can flame him.
Yeah. I mean, with Atalanta, it is. I mean, I personally see it sort of difficult for Hakimi because I just feel that if it was a battle of winning like literal tackles, I think Gosens would win it because Hakimi still needs to improve defensively. But I can understand your point, of course. Like if it had to come to speed, 1v1 dribbles, I think Hakimi would definitely get the better of him. And I think this Atalanta team also has a lot of players. Otherwise, we of course know Ilicic. What happened with him in the Real Madrid match? Gasperini got mad at him and he's had to sub him off again. But I think since that he scored a brilliant goal against Crotone over the weekend. Like he seems to be back in it, unlike the Papu Gomez situation. But just to come to that Papu Gomez situation, Rahul, I wanted to ask: is like we of course were linked with him in January, and of course now he's at Sevilla and he had his issues with Gasperini. And I think that was a very petty issue. Both are known to be hot-headed personalities, and of course they couldn't make up. But what do you think? Like, would you like at that moment? Of course, most of the Inter were actually excited because Eriksen wasn't, of course, in the best place, and Papu was a real option. So at that point, looking at things back then, were you someone who really wanted Papu Gomez? You have to consider the age, and his form and what he can offer to the team. But did you really want him back then?
No. I said, I looked at the heat map, the positions he picks up, and it was like if you put Sanchez's heat map and Papu's heat map on top of each other, it was like exact same positions. So, and as you said, the age, and then he would have taken time to adapt. And Conte's system wouldn't give him that freedom that he has at Atalanta. Atalanta, he did whatever he wanted. He would go. Sometimes you're picking up the ball at the centre back, I don't think he would have been a great fit for our team.
Yeah. I mean that was Rahul's take, Manish, and I personally was someone who wasn't keen on Papu Gomez as well. To what Rahul said, I completely agree because I really didn't want him, and I always was on like the Eriksen bandwagon. I really wanted him to work out, so that was one reason I never wanted Papu Gomez. But what's your take on it? Because I know it's something in the past. Of course, he's at Sevilla, he's doing fine, but were you someone at that moment who really wanted Papu Gomez, considering the fact that Conte dropped a hint, sort of playing 3-4-2-1 against Hellas Verona, and media started talking about the fact that it could be because Papu Gomez is on his way here. So what's your quick take on that?
I wasn't keen on Papu Gomez, like Rahul mentioned. Papu Gomez, I think, is just past his prime, and we have enough players. We have Sanchez, we have Arturo Vidal, all in their wrong side of 30s, and getting one more player. Also, Ashley Young, not to mention, wouldn't be an ideal scenario for Inter. We need young, dynamic players. Although I would have taken Edin Dzeko as a wise Lukaku. That is something which we badly need. Papu Gomez is much more similar to players like Sanchez and Lautaro's type of player. We don't have some person who can replace or sub Lukaku. That should be our main focus. So I'm glad we didn't get Papu Gomez because we would get him. I think we would pay astronomical wages to sign him. That'll be one. And I don't think Conte knows best to use him because too many similar players we'll have in that same space. So I'm good that the deal didn't work out, and I'm happy he'll succeed in place called Sevilla. So that's good.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I can understand. I guess our take on Papu Gomez situation is pretty much the same, and but that was that. Of course, now we have the game coming up, and I, I mean, we have for weeks we've been saying this, and uh, watching Rahul's previews also, like Brozovic especially. This guy's been on his fourth yellow card for like quite some time. Rahul, correct me if I'm wrong. Like he's been way too many game weeks. How has he not managed to pick up a yellow card? Like, at times this guy has this body language where we all know he flails his arms in the air, he gets frustrated, he just flies into tackles, and Barella just goes, he himself is similar, like he just goes flying in. So like, do you think, like, because now we have Atalanta coming up, and I remember Conte saying recently that you can't think about the next game, and you said this in your preview as well. I think you can't think about that next game. He might get booked, and you can't take the next actual game lightly. You need to feel your best 11. So do you actually agree with that? And with that being said, I want your predicted 11 for the Atalanta match, and then after that, Manish, you can give your predicted 11.
Yeah, as I said, yeah, in my previews, I've been saying it since these guys have been on the yellow cards. You just have to, at the end of the day, it's 3 points. It's 3 points. Like you can't think about the next 3 points and look past this 3 points that you can achieve. So, and clearly, these guys can be disciplined. So I didn't think they had it in them. As you said, Brozovic one is the most surprising one.
Yeah,
Barella as well. Barella is just as bad as him, as you said.
yeah,
Lukaku as well. Lukaku is the one I would be careful with because
yeah,
I would like, if we missed Lukaku, that's a really big miss. And Bastoni, as I said,
yeah,
you don't want to get Bastoni suspended. With the midfield, I'm confident now that they can rotate. So Ericsson can go into Brozovic's position, and you
mm,
can interchange.
mm,
And then predicted lineup wise. Prediction wise, I think he's not going to change anything once again. I think now Conte's found his 11. He's
idea.
not he's,
Yeah,
he's not changing anything. I think sorry, Sanchez is going to go back out. Lautaro's going to come back
yeah,
in, and that's going to be the only change I hope as well. I hope that he doesn't put Vidal or Gagliardini in
yeah,
for Ericsson, because I can
yeah,
see
yeah,
him doing something like that just because he wants to have a more of a physical midfield against Atalanta. But I want us to try control the match a little bit more against Atalanta. So I hope Ericsson continues in there. Yeah,
yeah,
so and I agree
yeah.
with that. I hope that he keeps that lineup.
Yeah. Just before you get into your predicted level, Manish, just wanted to add to Rahul's point. I completely agree because yesterday in his press conference, he kept on saying, that Vidal is getting into speed, he's getting into fitness, and good. That's great for the team. But we all know now what Ericsson offers. He has that passing vision and everything, and he just offers that much more than Vidal. And for the defensive work, we always have Barella and Brozovic. And this was a midfield combination at one point that never worked in the beginning of the season in the 3-4-1-2. But now it is working, and I wouldn't really change it even if it's Vidal, his favorite boy or whatever it is, because we saw it yesterday. Vidal was really off it, and I just didn't think. To your point, I just don't think he's ready for the Atalanta game, even if it's a physical battle, because they have Deron, they have Freuler, who really get stuck into things. They're really persistent players. So I wouldn't really take it to Vidal, and Vidal did take like a knock yesterday, and you could see the way he was struggling just to knock it off. I know it's hard, but just to shake it off, he was finding it difficult. So to your point, I personally wouldn't start Vidal, but yeah, Manish, coming to you, what do you think Conte will do? Like, is his 11 going to be the same? To Rahul's point, will Lautaro come in, and how would you like to see the 11? Yeah,
So if you ask me, I think pretty much the same 11 should stand. But like if you heard Alexis his post-match comments, he said he's a caged lion. He wants to go. He's in best shape of his life. So if you don't give chance to Alexis, I don't know when. Right now he seems to be in right fitness, right frame of mind, and he's daring to go. So his motivation level is this high. So I think Conte should give Alexis the start nod ahead of Lautaro, and definitely he's going to bring Lautaro in the 60th or 65th minute. So because Alexis is raring and ready to go, so why not? Why not give him the chance? So yeah, so my opinion, pretty much back three remains the same. Ericsson definitely to start, Hakimi and Perisic on the wings. So I'm going to give a chance to Alexis and Lukaku. That would be my formation, which I think Conte should go ahead. And yeah,
yeah.
that's
I mean,
that's the thing.
that's an interesting take. I mean, I personally find myself disagreeing, because to Rahul's point, I feel Lautaro and Lukaku have that much of a better understanding on a whole, and I think to you know break teams down like Atalanta, you need that. And I know Alexis said that he feels like a caged lion, but after I saw that first half performance, it didn't really inspire me. So I think I would still stick to Lautaro. But quickly, just to cap off the last few things, Rahul, I want you to give me a combined, since these two teams pretty much play a similar formation of sorts, not really. I want you to give me a combined Atalanta and Inter 11 based on the current squads. If you had to pick one, yeah.
Well, the keeper one's already interesting now, because if
Yeah.
you asked me a few weeks ago, I would have said Golini straight away.
Golini. Yeah.
But now Handanovic is made of a late comeback into, so I might have to go Handanovic over Gol. Actually, let's go with Golini, because I'm going to pick a full Inter back line. So the back three, there's no argument. So let's go Golini in goal, full back three of Inter. Midfield. My God, this is difficult. Okay, let's start. Gosens definitely left wing back. Hakimi right wing back. Now midfield. We'll play 3-5-2, obviously, because both teams kind of play that formation. So we'll go Brozovic, Barella. Those two have to be in there. I'm not sure. I don't know if I'm ready for. I might put Pessina over Ericsson right now, just because he's been in good form for Atalanta. Just because I don't want to make it like a full Inter 11.
Can understand.
And then I put Lautaro and Lukaku up front. Muriel is a close shot between him and Lautaro, but Muriel off the bench.
Yeah. I mean that the Pessina point, just to cap off, is very interesting, because I've seen many people say that he adds more balance than what Papu Gomez did. So I mean that's an interesting one, and I think we will see an Atalanta that will be a bit better balanced from what we have faced anyways. And not that they go bonkers against us, not that they don't do a defensive job against us, but I think they are going to be a bit more sound in terms of covering spaces with Pessina on the pitch. But on that note, I think we will cap off, and I want you guys to predict the scoreline, starting with Manish. What do you think the score is going to be? To put it out there, Atalanta are on a 5-game unbeaten run. In the Serie A, they just smashed. I mean, it's Crotone. Everybody just walks over them, but they did smash Crotone 5-1. They beat Sampdoria before that, and Sampdoria is someone who beat us. And yes, they did suffer a Champions League setback, but apart from that, they've beaten Napoli, Manish, in the Coppa Italia, in the league time and again. I don't know how many times they've played Napoli this season. But yeah, I mean, considering their form, considering their team, the way they play, what's your prediction for the match?
So before I go into the prediction, I'll just say the style of play. What I predict is pretty much Inter to sit back, absorb the pressure, typical Conte style. And Conte loves these type of matches. So what I believe, because I think Inter tend to struggle when teams sit deep and defend with 2 blocks of 4-man defense. So I think this type of match will play to Conte's advantage. Conte is going to sit back, absorb the pressure, and then release Hakimi and Lukaku whenever we get the chance. So this match is going to be tricky, because we might see Atlanta attack from all sides, from the left flank, from the right flank, and from Lucas Muriel himself. So my prediction is going to be, I'm going to predict, surprisingly, a bold 2-0 victory for this match. It's surprising, but yeah.
I mean, it is possible. I mean, last season I didn't expect myself that we would go to the Giveaway Stadium and beat Atalanta 2-0 on the last day. But coming to you, Rahul, the first leg this season was a 1-1 draw, and of course that was the rough patch for us, if you will. And I remember Alexei Miranchuk scored like that goal through the middle, like really unlucky. And I think Lautaro Martinez scored a header with an Ashley Young assist. But a lot has changed since then. A lot. Like, I think we had just gotten back to the 3-5-2 then, and we were just getting into shape with it. But we are, of course, as you know, solid right now. And of course, Atalanta are a free scoring team, but as you mentioned a moments ago, they do concede a lot, way too much. Like they have a tendency to concede. And considering the fact that they have Hatibor absent, and pretty much the rest of the team is gonna be there. But yeah, what's your prediction? How do you think? Firstly, how do you think they're going to approach the match? How will Inter approach the match in your opinion? And yeah, what's your prediction? What's your scoreline prediction?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm seeing Inter having a little bit of a physical dip. I don't know if maybe the Parma match I should take too much from that, but it seemed like the team was kind of physically struggling a little bit. I
Mm-hmm.
hope I'm wrong. So I'm more leaning towards a draw because I feel like we've been on a good run recently. So I feel like this one, and a draw is not the end of the world as a
End of
result right now. We've got like a nice little buffer. And yeah, Atalanta are in good form. I think they're the most informed team in the Serie A apart from us. So I'm seeing more of like a 2-2 draw.
oh,
Similar matches to what Manish said, Inter maybe having like 45, 46% possession, Atalanta having more of the ball and Inter hitting on the counter. But yeah, I'm seeing a 2-2 draw.
mm. Yeah, I mean, yeah, to your point, Rahul, like even I can't put a finger on this. Like I don't want to go for a prediction. Like it's just finding it very difficult because I remember in our previous episodes, Manish Gautam keeps on saying every time we have that seventh win, that's like the maximum streak we go to. Every coach goes to like a seventh win, and the eighth match is where we end up either drawing or losing, whatever it is. But whatever it is, I guess, I mean, it's a hard game. Like as to Rahul's point, it's not going to be the end of the world if we drop points here because you have to consider that it's Atalanta. Had we dropped points to Parma, I would be more worried because I think Rahul Nima pointed this on Twitter that they can go up, Inter can go a bit more relaxed into the Atalanta match. Not the fact that they will take it lightly, but that stress won't be there of having dropped points against Parma. Like the that you need to the extra pressure. So I
Yeah.
think they can be a bit more confident going into the match. But if I don't know the scoreline, but I guess we'll either edge it or to Rahul's point, we are going to draw this match. So yeah, I mean, this is going to be one of those games that can. And Rahul, I just want to cap off with you because I remember many people saying that if we win this match, the Scudetto is pretty much ours. Like people are making early predictions, like they feel that they actually believe that they have a, let's say, 95% plus chance of winning the Scudetto. Do you agree with that? Like do you think like if we actually beat Atalanta, this is ours to take, we can't lose from here?
Yeah, I think I've said something along those lines as well. I feel like if we beat
Okay.
Atalanta and we
Yeah.
keep this 7 point gap, yeah, I don't see Conte letting this team drop points to the end of the season. So yeah, I'm not gonna say that we've won the Scudetto, but I feel like that's when I'm like convinced now that this team's got what it takes if we beat Atalanta.
Manish, do you share that thought, or do you have anything to ask Rahul along for the Scudetto race or anything? Just because it's close to the end, there are, as Conte says, there are 13 finals left. Do you have anything for Rahul or just to add?
No, just the point that Atlanta match. Actually, all this while I was quite skeptical, but seeing the way Inter tends to play really well when attacking teams come to Inter, apart from the Champions League or what happened, but that teams like Lazio, Milan, they come and push Inter forward. So I think that hopefully it's a bold prediction. End of the day, I'm hoping for 3 points positive, like everyone else. Okay, I want to ask Rahul a tricky question. Like few weeks back, we've been discussing in our podcast about Lukaku being in form of his life, and he's singly taking Inter towards the Scudetto. His form, I think, form of his life is the amount of goals, amount of passes and assists. And also with the Euros coming up, do you think Lukaku can do a good job for Belgium? And if that happens, do you think is there a slight chance Lukaku can be favored for the Ballon d'Or, or that's just too far away, or it's just a completely hoax? What's your take on that?
No, I think yeah, for the Ballon d'Or is you have to be the Champions League. You have to get past the group stage of the Champions League. But yeah, it's a good point though. If he does well in the Euros, and if we Inter win the Scudetto, and he's the main man carrying it, I think he could be in the top 10. When they make that list, I think he can definitely go up there. And yeah, I don't know what your opinion is in terms of where he ranks in Europe, but I think right at the moment he's definitely top three. I know people were clowning him when he said it back in December,
Yeah.
but I feel like he's back there up this season. He's definitely a top three striker in world football for me right now.
Yeah. I mean, I guess people have a tendency to mock all of that when he said, but the fact that he was just believing in himself, because I remember he said at the same time that if players like Lewandowski can believe in themselves and make certain claims, then why can't he? What's wrong with that, right?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, to your point, yeah, exactly. To add to your point, that is. So I guess Rahul, do you want to plug anything? Your social media channel, just if you want to say something where we can
Yeah, no,
find
just
you.
yeah, just you can find me on YouTube, Uncle Sharma, and just do
Yeah.
into match reviews and previews. That's it. Thank you guys for having me on again. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, I mean to Rahul's point, you can always find him on his YouTube channel. He makes some great content related to Inter. Do check his YouTube channel out at Uncle Sharma, and on Twitter, I believe it's R Sharms, right? Your handle, and
Yeah,
uh,
with two Z's.
yeah, with two sides, and of course that's where he puts up certain compilations as well. So that's where you can find him, and we leave the links to your channel in the description. Be sure to subscribe to his channel, and yeah, we'll catch you for the Atalanta review. And I believe we have Torino after that, or is it Cagliari? I think Torino. Oh yeah,
Torino.
Torino after that. So Torino, yeah. So we'll catch you for the preview. Yeah, stay tuned.